Hi, welcome to a chat to myself, a ritual informal space in which you can chat to yourself at the same time. The power of sharing and feedback, and also the challenges of a working actor, the challenges of an actor on set specifically. Why is it that sharing is so powerful? It's similar to when I talked about the audible exhale. Um, you ground the energy outside from what's happening inside you. So we have so many things going on through our mind as we live, and especially if you do any creative, artistic work. So many inputs, so many emotions. Things can be confusing at times, and so to understand what's going on through us is very important. That's why working on yourself and being self-aware at any given moment is very important, especially for an actor who's an expert in human behavior. But for anyone, any artistic profession for sure, that's stuff that I talked about in previous chats. But sharing and allow stuff to come out makes you vulnerable, which can be scary, but it's one of the most rewarding and healing things you can do. So allowing yourself to say, look, this is what I'm going through. It can be about a small thing, or it can be about a bigger thing. And what I found in my life is that the less I held on to stuff, the more I healed. And the more people liked me. Oh my God, people liked me. Crazy. But yeah, it's super powerful because you can believe in yourself much more and you boost your confidence much more. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? That you are sharing stuff that potentially makes you vulnerable. And that makes you more confident and powerful. But there is power in vulnerability, of course. And sharing allows you to connect to people because people, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see somebody strong with, muscles. We want to see the ability to open up because we all share that. We all have something inside us. And seeing somebody else having the courage to share and to open up allows us to also be strong and brave. And that's just the real strength. So, that, the power of sharing. Connected to it is the power of feedback. Giving somebody feedback. I usually in my classes talk about two types of feedback. We have cognitive and perceptive feedback. Cognitive feedback is when, something that you know about, this scene, this character, or even a situation. If we're not talking about acting, you're talking about, your job or your friends, or, when you want to, you're moving house, you need to make sure that you've closed all the bills and that kind of stuff, all the contracts. So stuff that you know about because you've done it before, you've seen it before, you worked on it before. That's cognitive feedback. You can say to somebody, look, that thing that you did or you said, in a scene for acting, for example, or, on set, or again, in real life, you're giving feedback to somebody, to a friend. Oh, look, I think it's better if you do it this way instead because did it this way. It didn't seem natural. That's not what you would do, or it's dangerous, or whatever you want to say, whatever your feedback is. But that is cognitive, and so there is a value in it because it's something that you know about. It's something that you have information about, and that is good insight that the person may use because maybe they don't have that information, or maybe they thought they did, but actually your point of view is still valuable. And as an actor, sometimes it's like, oh, we feel that we're doing that thing and that we are portraying that emotion or that circumstance. But then the feedback is, I didn't really feel that. Because if you'd be, moving house right now, you'd be much more stressed right now because you have to close up everything there. And you didn't really look around the house before leaving, for example. And so that's like, oh, actually, you're right. I should be a little bit more concerned about, closing the gas before I leave. Or whatever is the feedback. Yeah, that's cognitive feedback. Then we have perceptive feedback, which is literally whatever you see, whatever you feel, regardless of what you know. So you may know nothing at all about the situation, the circumstance, the scene, but you may feel. So whatever you feel, I always encourage people to talk directly, unfiltered. Allow the listening to come from your belly. You want to have a visceral reaction. Receive whatever's coming to you when you're watching a scene, whenever you go to theater, or you watch a movie, or you watch a fellow actor at work, or you go to an exhibition, anything creative, anything artistic. Try and really receive it with your belly. Yeah? Not even the chest, the belly, like even deep down, like really feel it in your guts. And then allow that to come out as feedback all the way up through your voice, unfiltered. I felt this. Yeah, of course, try not to be hurtful. Don't say, oh, that was shit. But you can say, that made me uncomfortable. Which is not necessarily bad feedback at all for an artistic piece of work. But, I felt this emotion. I don't know why, but, and sometimes it doesn't make logical sense, but say it anyway. Feedback and sharing are extremely powerful growth tools for both the person receiving the feedback and for the person giving the feedback and doing the sharing. That's why I encourage everyone to do it all the time in my classes, and if you can, even outside, if it's, of course, with the right people and in a safe space, always. Otherwise, don't do it, because it can be hurtful in that case and problematic. But if you have that space, and if you are in a class with a suitable coach and the right people around you and people who care about you, etc., then sharing and giving honest, truthful feedback is so powerful. It's obviously powerful for the person who's receiving it, because they learn stuff and they realize stuff they might not have realized themselves. Or because you're confirming to them something and they want to make sure, I'm not telling you that, I'm just going to do it and see what you tell me afterwards. And if you tell me, yes, I felt that you were absolutely in love with, the girl over there, who's your scene partner, it's like, great, that's what I wanted. Whereas instead, if they go, I felt that you were a little bit jealous, it's like, oh, interesting. Maybe it's because as a substitution I used an ex-girlfriend who, I don't know, I cheated on me, and so maybe I had this jealous feeling in me and I didn't even realize. So that's the important feedback. A substitution, in case you don't know, it's using an emotion memory, a piece of emotion memory or sense memory from your past, and using it in a scene. So you substitute something or a person with that feeling or situation in order for it to feel real. There is a very safe and efficient technique to do this. Don't just do it in any circumstance, because there are ways that if you do this, it can be hurtful. Like, for example, one very important piece of information is always use a memory that it's at least 7 years old. Don't do it raw stuff unless it's an emergency. But in most situations, it's 7 years old. Yes, it can still affect you even though it's 7 years old if you do it the right way. And it's done in a safe way, which is what we want. We want safe stuff for your mental health so that you can be happy as an actor, as well as efficient as an actor. This is more to do with my Method Campus training, holistic method acting. Check it out if you want to. So extremely powerful tools, and it's powerful for the person giving it as well, because you learn to believe what you're feeling. I call it listening. This is Stella Adler used to say listening. What she meant was basically perceiving anything, just be wide open, to listen, to open, to receive, right? And so being able to say unfiltered what you felt, it's a great, powerful tool, that, especially for actors, is really helpful, because that's what you have to do in a scene. You have to be open, receive and give back and react unfiltered. But it's helpful for anyone, even non-actors, being able to receive openly, with an open heart, an open belly, and then come back with that energy, whatever it is that you felt. I felt this. It's such a transformative tool. So try and do that if you can. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the challenges of being an actor on set, a working actor, specifically in a circumstance such as during an intense job, such as filming, right? And it's connected to sharing, because it's the opposite of it. Is when you need to not share. And it has to do with having a safe space. When you're on set, when you're an actor filming, you may find yourself for weeks at a time away from home. You don't have your routines. You don't have your people around you. Everything's different. You are in close contact with people every day, all day. You don't necessarily like all of them, and even if you do, they're not your friends, they're not your family, they're not the people that you've grown with and that you are comfortable with. All of this has an impact on your mental health, and this is something that nobody teaches you. Nobody taught me this, and I feel it's one of the most important things that people should that we should teach young actors and get them ready for filming. It happens when we go on tours as well for actors, so it's for theater as well. If you're an actor that goes on tours, on theater tours, then that applies to you too. Okay, so the fact that you don't have a safe space means that you have to create it. Okay, you have to go back to setting up your boundaries, which sometimes mean you don't share. Okay, you don't share how you feel because it's too much. It's about being overwhelmed, and it can happen. It does happen. It happened to me. It happens to all the actors that I know, I think. But it's something that we don't talk about often, because we have the tendency to think that we should just be grateful and we should just be super happy because we're on set and we're working. And of course, we're super excited about that. We are. And we love the project and we're happy that we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. But that does not mean that it doesn't have an impact on our mental health. It is quite heavy. Also, especially for actors, is particularly different to any other member of the crew. And probably different to other artistic jobs as well. I mean, I don't know as much about the others, but I can say that actors put all of themselves, their body, their emotion, their voice, their face, into what they're doing, 100%. So you can't afford being tired. A member of the crew can be tired. They can still do their job, but they can also be tired. And nobody's going to say anything because they know you're tired, and it's fine. That's what the job is. An actor can't be tired because it will show. This is actually the reason why actors are treated differently. It's not because we're divas. Some people think, actors shouldn't be treated that, why is it that actors are always treated like they're special? It's like, there's a very practical reason, guys. Many people in the industry know this, but I feel that many others don't. So that's the reason I want you as an actor to know. And if you're not an actor, I want you to know as well. That's why. It's because we need to give ourselves grace to then be able to do our job in the most open and vulnerable way possible. A member of the crew does not need to be openly vulnerable, whereas an actor does. And so they can safeguard themselves as they do their job. It doesn't mean that it's not difficult for them, of course. Of course it's difficult for everyone, yeah? It's an intense intense working hours. It's it can be challenging also to be in the room, especially if you're doing a scene that's particularly powerful. Anyone watching will be healed or challenged, because that's theater, and acting is healing. So it has an impact on possibly everyone in the room if you're open to healing. Yeah. So it's challenging for everyone. But for an actor, it's particularly challenging because we're not able to share what's going on. So it's the opposite. What you need to do is not share. As soon as you've done your job, when you feel that it's too much, take your time. Bye, I'm gonna go back to your trailer, or do your own, your little walk. Take the time needed. That goes even during filming. If you feel like, oh, I'm not feeling it right now, I'm feeling all this intensity, it's better that you take a beat. Most people won't take it badly if you take a moment. If you say, sorry, I need 5 minutes, I need 1 minute, I need 10 minutes even. Because if it means that you're going to do your job better, they'll probably be happy for you to do it. Okay? And even if somebody will be pissed because you're taking 5-10 minutes, whatever, you are in charge, okay, of your own career. Don't worry about others. Think about doing your best, because I guarantee you that you then, if you're feeling better, then coming back and you are ready to use what's happening, use it. It's a whole thing that I do, that I teach. I guarantee you that then they will be happy. And even if they're not happy, whatever, you're not doing this for them. Remember, you're not doing this for the crew. You're not doing this even for the director. The director might be the person in charge of the whole project. So might be the person who says, great, I like that, I didn't like that, I want that, I don't want that. Of course. But a truthful moment is a truthful moment. And most of the time, directors will even be surprised and even like stuff that you do, even if it's unscripted, because it's truthful. Okay? And you only achieve that if you really believe in what's going on here, and you go with it. I'm not saying change the script all the time. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. By all means, try to go by the script. But what I'm saying is that it's part of the challenges of being an actor on set, or a theatre tour. It applies even to non-actors, I suppose, if we're talking about any very intense jobs where you might feel all these things, and it's like always too much. So the key concept here is take the time to regroup. Take the time to take care of yourself. It's important. It's important to take care. Sometimes you might need to vent, but don't count too much on the venting. Because that means you're venting with somebody usually, and they might have their own challenges as well. And also, people might be talking to somebody else about the things you're saying, and it's like, so it's more, I feel that it's much better to take the time for you to acknowledge. Remember what we discussed in the previous chat. So step 1, acknowledge what's going on. Step 2, identify what it is. And step 3, I'm not quite sure that you actually need it at this stage, to be honest, which is analyze, where does it come from? Because right now what you want is just to make sure that you're fine and take care of yourself. So you don't need to know every little detail. Okay? So essentially, take notice, acknowledge, I'm having a difficulty. If you can, step 2, identify. What kind of difficulty is it exactly? Maybe it was a difficult scene that you were working on, or maybe somebody on set said some sort of comment that didn't sit well with you and made you uncomfortable. So work on that, feel that, take that time, take the time to decompress at the end of the day. I believe so much in check in and check out. I always do it in my classes. Of course, when you're on set, it's not, you don't do it on your own, but the decompression, the part about, going back to yourself, taking a moment, I'm taking a shower, they take their makeup off and, maybe do a nice little facial. If you have like a nice makeup artist that would do that, I used to have one that was so lovely, and she used to give us all facials at the end of the day. It was so beautiful. But yeah, take that time to work on yourself, not to work on yourself, to to release what you went through, because it could have been quite intense. Okay. And that depends, even if it's not a dramatic role, even if it's a comedic role, still, it could have been a lot of work, and it could have been that it's like, oh, okay, I need to be hey all the time in this job, in this, film. And it's like, actually, I might also, and then you go to lunch or dinner with the crew and it's like, I don't feel like it. And that's fine, okay? Give yourself grace. That's very, very important. So the importance of sharing and the importance of not sharing. Yeah? Setting boundaries. It's super important. You want to make sure that you are ready for when you do go on set, so that you don't freak out, you don't burn out. So all this stuff, all these things, it's much better that you do it now, before you actually get an audition, before you actually win it and you go on stage or on set. So try and work on yourself as much as you can beforehand, is my advice. And same for any other job, any other intense job, even non-artistic, and non-creative, is something that's super intense for you. Well, I feel, make sure that before you get to that point where you could burn out and you could be overwhelmed, take the time to understand yourself and what's going on in your life. What is it? What's going on? What do you notice? Take the time to receive that from you. Good, sad, angry, what's coming up? That's already identified, by the way. Step one could just be take notice. So it doesn't have to be any of these labels. It could be just, I'm feeling something. Okay. But sometimes it's, straight away, oh, well, no, I'm feeling that. And you know exactly what it is. And maybe you even know where it comes from. That depends, how much work you've done in yourself. How much do you know? How much you know about your life, your unfulfilled needs, etc. But whatever the case, even if it does straight away goes to step 3 and you know what's happening and where it comes from, don't analyze if it's not the circumstance where you can analyze. Give yourself the time to understand what's going on. Take a beat. Give yourself compassion. That's how you grow. Share where you can, when you have a safe space and the right people around you. Even if it's somebody that you don't know, you may give them the chance. Like for me, I used to compartmentalize my life too much, give a side of me to certain people only and separate these things. My life got so much more interesting and so much better since I started to just say everything to everyone, and some people didn't like certain aspects. And some people loved certain aspects that they didn't know about me. And that got me to learn certain sides of them as well in return, because I opened up and so they opened up too, and it's so interesting to get to know people for real. Don't just be, an actor that talks about acting and the profession. Talk about what you care about, what your life is. Talk about your relationships, your hobbies. Talk about the stuff that you struggle with, your rent, or your holidays, or whatever you want to talk about, and not small talk, real talk. You have something specific that's not that common and you want to talk about it? Maybe do. See what happens, That way you'll forge much more truthful and honest connections with people. So sharing is so powerful. And sometimes you'll know that it's time to not share. It's time to protect yourself. It's like, actually, I feel like I'm not going to talk about my personal stuff with these people here. This is not my crowd. It's a good crowd to have fun, maybe, but not for discussing these things. And that's fine too. Yeah? Being able to be selective about the right people, the right space, the right moment in your life. Maybe these could be the right people, but not for now. Maybe at the moment I'm feeling like, I'm not ready. This is not the right time for me. It's a very intense time of my life, so let's not talk about this subject, please. Yeah? That's for you to figure out and for you to decide, because you do know down here, you do know what's right for you. So I hope this was helpful and you enjoyed this this chat to myself and with yourself, hopefully. Let me know if there's in the comments if there was anything that resonated with you. Was there ever anything that you shared with somebody that maybe they didn't expect and that led to transformation and growth? That'd be awesome if you can let me know in the comments. Or a time when you decided that you didn't want to share because it was your boundary. You wanted to protect yourself and you felt that was the right situation. Or maybe that's right now. You want to share or not sharing. You want to share about sharing or not sharing right now in your life. What's the situation right now in your life where it would benefit from sharing something, from feedback, given or received, or it would benefit from actually not sharing? And so, there's this subject in my life that is tricky, and so I prefer not to discuss it at the moment. And I feel like deciding that right now is powerful. You can say that in the comment. I would love that if you have something like that. If you like this chat to myself, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you the next time. Mwah. Ciao.